Hello. Hello, everyone. So, welcome to this week's energy update. My name is Malia, and I am with Innerperfect, and we do these energy updates pretty much every week, every Wednesday at 7 o'clock. And I'm I'm tired. This is it's been a long couple weeks. I have a long couple more weeks, month ahead of me. I've been working every day, moving the shop. So I don't really feel like my head is completely in the game as far as the energy update. Like I just got home a few minutes ago, but it is what it is. And I did want to hop on here and do the energy update since I said that I would. And I thought that because we're in between. Sorry, I'm pulling up something on my phone. Okay. So we're pretty much in between the new moon and the full moon right now. So the moon will be full next week. I think it's next Thursday, right before the summer solstice. And so not that the waxing moon doesn't have its own energy. It does, but we are in the first quarter moon phase. And so the energy is growing, the energy is increasing, but we haven't quite reached the peak of the full moon yet, right? So we're, in between the intention setting, empty, clean slate of the new moon, moving towards the full moon. My hair is doing something weird. Okay. It's whatever. It was like there was this thing like sticking up here. It was driving me nuts. Okay. So the sun is in Gemini right now, and Gemini is an air sign, just like Aquarius, just like Libra. And Gemini is, there can be a lot of kind of social activity, mental activity, kind of more busyness of energy with the influence of Gemini. And not only do we have the sun in Gemini now, but Mercury is also in Gemini. And Mercury governs communication, governs the flow of things from one point to the other. So with Mercury also being in Gemini, it can be a kind of an amplification of that mercurial energy, kind of busyness of thought, busyness of mind. And there could be kind of an energy uh, of like making compromises, finding balance within communication, seeing two sides to a story or to a situation as well. So it can be all positive as far as Mercury being in Gemini. It's not necessarily like a malefic placement or anything like that. But there is kind of a flurry of activity, a flurry of energy. So whereas Gemini is an air sign, if you're finding yourself kind of under the barrage of lots of thought, of lots of conversation, of things kind of coming at you from multiple directions, doing something that helps you feel grounded and that helps you feel kind of more settled will help you kind of maybe get through that busyness of the energy. And it's not just around you, but it's also kind of in your head too. So I know, like with me, being right in the middle of completely breaking down my store and moving it and setting it up into our community space. Not only have I been physically busy, like moving, moving furniture and moving products and all this stuff, but then it's been like trying to plan, 5 moves ahead, how I need to set this up and how I need to do this. And then that's going to go there. It's like, Tetris, or like putting all of these puzzle pieces together. So I feel that this Gemini energy in general, because it can be very creative and it can be very, um, very energizing. But then with Mercury in Gemini too, I think that it has kind of given me a bit of a boost or a push to keep this momentum going. But then, like, my physical body is tells me by the time that my day kind of wraps up and I come home that I am physically exhausted. And that's obviously because, like, I'm moving a lot of heavy stuff and just like up and down ladders and all the things, kind of without like any break. I've been doing this pretty steady for the last couple weeks. But it is it is kind of a good time of year, astrologically speaking, for me to be taking on this project. I'm a Libra sun, and so I do feel a bit of an amplification when there are other air sign you know uh, amplifications or alignments or whatever. Um, but I keep having to remind myself, because I'm not just existing in my head and my in the mental state, right? I am thinking a lot and planning and organizing and all of that, but my physical body is putting all of those plans into motion. And so I have to make sure that I am taking care of my body as well. That I am trying to rest, that I am grounding myself, that I'm trying to keep myself hydrated, and eat well. So if you're finding yourself kind of swept up in the busyness of Gemini season, and you're feeling like maybe you don't have sure footing, or you're like your brain just kind of won't stop or slow down, or you're getting invited here, and all these things are kind of coming up on your radar, and it feels overwhelming to you. Then of course make sure that you do those things that kind of help you recharge your batteries, that help you ground, that help you, kind of just like come back down to earth, so that you can kind of maximize these energies that are around us, but then also not burn yourself out. And I know for myself, like, I don't I don't really necessarily feel like I don't feel very stressed, as far as like anxious stressed, but it is like a working stress and strain that I feel. But it's very literal for me. Um the kind of uplifted, effervescent energy of Gemini um, can help with motivation, and can help with kind of that uplifting of mood, or knowing that if you're if you're kind of having a low day, or something upsets you, that it's gonna kind of pass, and it'll be something else, sooner than later. So, not to pick on Geminis, but it could be kind of like a kind of like a flighty energy, but it's just like great stuff comes up, great opportunities come up, but if it's something that comes up, you're like, wow, that doesn't really resonate with me, like it's gonna kind of pass pretty quickly. So no worries about that, right? But if you are finding yourself feeling kind of just like up in the clouds and not anchored, and that doesn't feel good, or that doesn't feel safe for you, do whatever you need to do to recharge your batteries, to ground, to kind of come back down to earth too. Because the thing is about all of this mental activity and all of these social opportunities and all the things, is that those are all great, but they might be fleeting, or they might be um just out of reach, or something. You're like, oh, that looks fun, and then it's just kind of passes by. It's not really, it might not really linger much. So if you do have inspired ideas, or if you're having conversations with people, or making plans, or whatever, like, it might be necessary to do certain things that would be counter to that Gemini energy. Do something that does kind of anchor that airy energy into reality too, because there can be a little bit of a tendency to um to say all the things and to have the ideas and to make the plans or whatever, but then it just as a whim, just kind of floats away, and it doesn't really get anchored into actually happening, the stick to itiveness of it. So anything that you think of that's like a great idea, write it down. Maybe think on it for a little bit, but then take the next steps to maybe implement that to actually make it happen, instead of you just getting caught up in the next thoughts and the next ideas that come along, and maybe they're all great ideas, but if you don't do anything with it, then they were just in your head, right? And so um summer in general, as we are kind of moving towards the summer solstice, the longest day of the year, this kind of peak of solar energy, a lot, not everybody, but a lot of people find themselves feeling more extroverted, more vibrant, more wanting to be outside and going to parties and picnics and all the things, going on vacation, right? And it is a time of kind of having your fun in the sun, and just not being so burdened by maybe denser or heavier energies. And I feel like this summer, although um, it's not like everything in the world or on the planet is just floating along peacefully, or everything's just great and happy, but it does feel like a little bit of a break for some of us, before we start to get kind of more into the seriousness of other elements of other um, issues, election, all of that stuff. It doesn't mean that all of these important issues aren't still going on. They are, but maybe we feel a little bit of a break, a little bit of lightheartedness, a little bit of just like I just want to enjoy the moment type energy, as a pause from what is still going on and what will continue to go on. But yeah, I don't feel like just because uh things aren't like the energy just doesn't feel really heavy right now. It feels busy, but it doesn't feel heavy, if that makes sense. I'm not sure if you all are feeling that too. But it's just kind of maybe we have a little bit of a different perspective right now, or just a little bit different of a focus. But I feel like it'll circle back around and it'll get serious again. So make hay while the sun is shining, and enjoy your time, of just this slightly more lighthearted energy, and kind of really use that to kind of rejuvenate yourself, and uh, just enjoy yourself a little bit, before the fall comes. So, I'm not saying like doom and gloom, like fall's going to be horrible, but I think it is going to be kind of intense. I think that there's going to be some volatility for sure. So like let's see, Gemini. So Venus is also in Gemini, till next week. Um, okay. So yeah, so Mercury, Venus, and the Sun right now are all in Gemini. Venus being in Gemini is very kind of flirty, sociable, kind of maybe choosing all the things instead of just one thing. But it's a fun energy. It's a fun energy for sure. Mars is in Aries right now, and of course, Aries and Mars is like the home planet of Aries, and so although there is um, can be in like an amplification of that Mars, Aries, fiery, fighting type energy, which we do see, kind of going on still in the world. It can also be, a little more, it's just like, there's more projective action focus with um, Aries Mars being in Aries because there's no friction. It's like its home planet. And so if you feel yourself being a little more competitive, you feel yourself being a little more like kind of stubborn or goal oriented, then that is normal with this, with Mars and Aries, being together. But it shouldn't really cause too much friction in your own personal life unless you um are finding yourself in the shadow side of being so stubborn and so sure of your position, being overly competitive, things like that. But with this, also kind of like this Gemini, kind of like more light-hearted energy, any kind of like emotional flare up, or getting mad about something, or wanting to fight, like that should pass pretty quickly, so just take a couple of deep breaths, right? Aries is a fire sign, and although something could be explosive, it's kind of like once that combustion happens, then the energy kind of is like, okay, it's done, right? So I am going to do a card pull, card pulls, or intuitive reading, whatever you want to call it. And I don't even know what to ask about. I am truly just tired, and my brain has been in organization mode and moving mode all for weeks, but all day, and so I don't really know what we should ask about. So I'll just pull a couple of cards and see what the collective needs to know right now, whether it is leading up to the full moon, which is next week on Thursday, or to the summer solstice. Any ways to maybe maximize the energies that are kind of swimming around in right now. And, any pertinent kind of personal messages for you, for those of you who are watching this live, or for those of you who are watching the video as a replay. Okay, so let's pull a couple cards and see what we need to know. I feel like we got this last time. 7 of Cups. Seems like we got this last time. And then we have 5 of Pentacles. And then we have 8 of Cups. So 7 of Cups to 8 of Cups, with 5 of Pentacles in the middle. Let's pull one more. And then we have 4 of Swords. I definitely get the feeling of rest and recuperation as advice with this reading, and I feel like part of the message is that even if things are like going okay, you feel relatively fine. Maybe, you're not super stressed. You're maybe not having, major health issues. Work is okay. Like everything's just kind of floating along. Like that's good. But to kind of maximize the benefit of maybe the pressure being off a little bit doesn't mean that you're like, "Oh, everything's fine, so I'm just gonna, like, throw caution to the wind and, like, stay out all night, or, like, drink to excess, or, be frivolous with my money," or, not be, um, like, authentic or true to my word. Like, I almost feel like to receive the benefit of, like I said, the pressure being kind of off a little bit, is like you still want to maintain um your authenticity and your moral compass, and making good choices. You still want to do that, even though sometimes we're just like, oh, things have been so tough, or I have been so stressed, but I feel a little better now. So I'm just going to kind of really let go. Like, there are lots of ways to kind of let go and have a good time without you having like regrets later. Right. So I feel like maybe like moderation is advised, especially when it comes to things that may be borderline not good for you. And this could just be certain people that you're spending time with, how you're spending your time. Um, like I said, if you have the propensity towards drinking too much, consuming too much of anything, or just like yeah, I don't know, like you might even be like a social drinker, and like that's fine. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but because the energy is kind of like light and fun and everybody's having a good time, that you may tend to kind of like drink a little too much into where you just feel like crap the next day, or whatever. So just kind of like find your own personal balance with the energies right now, still being a little like applying the lessons that you've learned and the maturity and wisdom that you do have. Like, don't just throw all of that out the window just because, you kind of feel like this, like, easy breezy, energy, right? Now, because the quote unquote, and I keep getting that, it's like the pressure has just kind of let off a little bit. It's kind of what I feel. Is that how you maximize that is that if you're feeling a little bit less stressed, pressured, obligated, whatever it is, and then you still make the time to get the sleep that you need, to eat right, to um, surround yourself with people that are going to be uplifting and, good situations, all of that, that it's like you'll be able to really receive um the all of the blessings and all of the kind of fortification of those more like higher vibrational energies, because there isn't like a block or a buffer. So it could really maximize your kind of like the good vibes, if that's what you focus on. But you could almost kind of slightly miss out on the opportunity to keep making progress with your on your path, as you are still working on growth and healing yourself, your mind, your body, your spirit, all of that. You could kind of just still float along on these energies that are around us this summer, but you might feel like you lose a little bit of steam, or you might kind of get off track a little bit and have to kind of pick up the pieces again. And that would be a little harder if then there are new stressors in your life, or crappier things happen with the economy and inflation or whatever it is. It's kind of like, you know, uh, have fun, enjoy your life, but don't just throw all caution to the wind and just be like, whatever, because you might kind of wish that you had um been either a little bit more conservative, with your spending, or how you spent your time, or any of that too. Okay. um so I feel that we are, um what I really get more about the 7 and the 8 um of cups is that you are being shown actually quite a lot of options, mm, and they may not feel like choices right now, but these things may be coming across your radar more as, options, ideas. These are the different, a myriad of different variations of human nature, of what jobs could be like. It's just there's just kind of a lot of information that's just kind of rising up and just rising up. And this is more of a time of discerning what options, and it's not all of them, of those options, what things you would like to try and what things you would like to maybe, experience, investigate a little more, kind of try on for size, and what ones are not really worth your time, your focus, your energy, um, and see it as these things coming across your radar. And I feel like it really boils down to like what provides fulfillment for you. What is fulfillment? Satisfaction, and whether this is emotional, whether this is how you spend your time, like what you choose to devote your time to. Also, I feel that it's the energy of exchange. What is worth your time and effort and focus, and what isn't. And it's kind of like just a little bit of a trying on season. So it's not like you have to try it on and then make a choice right now. But it's just, just kind of like it's like a merry-go-round, and there's all these different things that are coming around, and you're given the opportunity to say, "Oh, cool. I never seen that before, or I never thought of it that way." Or this is circling back around, like, do I still feel the same way about it, or whatever. But it's just a trying on. It's like going to buy clothes, or trying on clothes, but you're not necessarily going to buy anything. You just kind of want to try a couple things on. But it's not necessary to make a decision yet. The decision time will come, but I don't feel like that is the energy that is really that you're being asked to do right now. But the interesting thing, like, about the 7 of cups, like, look at that, the yellow, well, they're all yellow cups, but the yellow cup with the yellow snake up at the top. I mean, there's all kinds of things in these cups, right? Some look great, some look not so great. And so just because there are 7 cups that are full of things, number 1 doesn't mean that you could even carry all of them, or that you would choose all of them. There's some that you probably don't even wanna waste your time with, and then there's some that are kind of worthy of a little more consideration. Okay, so that's kind of the energy that you're in right now. Now with the 8 of cups, let me move my fingernail so you can see all of the cups there. We have 5 on the bottom, and then we have 3 stacked on top of that. But see how there's that space? And the space, the man is taking up kind of this space right here, right? I feel that this is telling you that that time to make a choice, if it had to boil down to all of these cups, and going to choose, right? Is that time is in the future, it's off in the distance. And that also, as this person is kind of, the missing cup in a way, right? That I feel, going back to that word fulfillment that I mentioned when I started doing the card reading, is that is really like the energy that should back up whatever choices you make. Do you feel fulfilled? Is this thing fulfilling to you? And whether that is emotional fulfillment, that is, feeling that there's an even exchange with your time and your work, and then, like, how you are compensated for that, if it's a job or something, or even just social interactions with people, is kind of, what you're giving to the situation. And with that exchange of conversation and energy, is it really worth your time? And I don't mean that in like in a cruel way, but really, is like, your interactions with some people, is it like, well, I kind of could have done without that. Like, what does it really matter, Or is it like, wow, not only am I fulfilled, and am I, bolstered myself from this interaction, but I feel that I also am offering. I do have something to offer, that there is this beautiful exchange, that it's kind of like exponentially helping things spiral upward too. So, it's a lot to think about, but that Gemini energy and that Mercury and Gemini energy will give you a lot of things to think about. But like I said, you don't have to choose right now. Like make the final choice, the final decision of whatever's coming across your radar. But that doesn't mean that even if you're not in the choosing phase, it still doesn't mean that you just throw all caution to the wind and that you're just like, well, whatever. I mean, you could, but that is kind of like, maybe a waste of your time and your energy and your resources that you might regret a little bit, as we kind of, start to get to where when summer starts kind of winding down a little bit. So let us see if there's anything else that we need to know, any information that will be helpful or insightful. Three of Swords, Ace of Wands. I'm not pulling them weird, but Queen of Wands. It's like they're coming up upside down, but then as I flip them up for you guys, they're upright. Okay. So let's look at these cards all together. And this one here was the first one that I pulled. Okay. This definitely has to do with, Three of Swords can be kind of like our regrets, our heartache, our heartbreak, not only from other people, but also like what we do to ourselves to kind of torture ourselves. I feel like, aces are always a fresh start or a new beginning. And wands, we jump from the ace. I swear to we got this last week too, or the week before. I feel like this is like the message of June. We're getting some energy that is kind of yeah, because I asked, what did we need to know for June? And then this card came up, and I was saying like July, August, was kind of the energy that I was getting coming off of this card for sure. I'm going to pull one more card and ask, not necessarily why we're getting repeating cards, but just like one card that will help kind of summarize the cards from last week's reading, this week's reading, and kind of see like what the bridge is. Okay. Cool. 10 of Pentacles. And that definitely came up upright. Okay. So this is what I'm going to say. So some of you may be processing some emotional things. This could be endings. These could be shifts. These could be changes. It could be with work. It could be with just chapters in your life. It could be relationships, any of that. It is normal to grieve. It is normal to go through all of those layers and levels of going through something as almost like a rite of passage of something ends, or reaches its culmination, and then how do we get through that ending? Because the ending isn't just like flipping off a light switch and then it's just done and then the next chapter starts, right? There's always the in between, and then there's always kind of the wrap up. What did we learn? What did we experience? How do we feel about that? How have we grown as a person? What do we understand more deeply, more fully? All of that, right? And so, for any of you that have experienced endings or that are experiencing endings or shifts or transitions or changes, that you don't have to just put a happy face on and say, well, Change is great. Change is good. Growth is good. I'm just going to be happy about all of it. You can be happy. You can be grateful. But if you do have underneath the surface, grieving or loss or sadness or anger or any of those things underneath the surface, and you just kind of push that aside, then that lesson is kind of on pause, then waiting to be fully wrapped up and finished. It'll resurface in another situation that says, okay, so let's just pick back up where we left off, right? Which you can learn or experience things that way. But if you would like to really wrap up, whatever this thing is that's ending, this experience, if you would like to wrap it up fully and be able to, in finality, be at a place of acceptance and gratitude, regardless of what it is, then you got to feel all the stuff. And doesn't mean that you have to take the darkest, deepest dive ever, and be sad or be angry or whatever. You can be, but it's very much honoring how you feel and where you are at with whatever phase of experiencing and accepting, that change or that ending that you're in. And I feel that these two cards are saying that you will really truly see more of that fresh perspective and that fresh the next chapter starting really more towards I'm feeling August. um yeah, I'm definitely feeling August. Could even be into September. And that doesn't mean that everything's like absolute crap for the summer. It doesn't mean that, everything's on hold or anything like that. It just means that you'll have ups and you'll have downs, and that's normal. And it's just to kind of like let yourself really process whatever. And it's like sometimes when we have an ending or we have change, like, we see all the positives in us, like, "Well, I'm glad that that's done," or, "I'm gonna see how this is gonna be so much better," or whatever it is, right? But we still grieve the ending of things. That's just what we do, even if it's for 5 minutes or if it's for a day or whatever. That's how we understand, and I will not be having this thing again, and maybe I'm really grateful for that. But wow, it took up a little bit of space in my life, in my heart, in my head, whatever it is. So I feel like that's a little bit of what you're going to be working on this summer. I know in different parts of my life, I'm working on that lesson, right now. And lesson as lesson, AKA experience, right? It's not like everything is a test or a lesson, but it's like, it's how you learn, it's how you get the full depth, breadth, height, width of the human experience, too. And I feel that with the 10 of Pentacles, and this is like everything lining up, everything falling into place, but there being no missing parts. It's, um, being surrounded by everything that you need. Um, that is that you will find yourself in that place of knowing that you do have everything that you truly need or want or desire in your life, that there aren't like any holes or like any gaps. But it's almost like when the realization hits you that it's not all about the tangible things. It's not all about having a certain amount of money in your bank account or having, you know, um, certain tangible physical objects around you, or even certain people in your life, friends, lovers, family, whatever, that like serve certain roles, or kind of fill different roles in your life. That, yeah, I mean, all of those things are great. I'm not saying that you have to be alone on an island, but really so much of it is about you. So much of your sense of happiness and fulfillment. Again, I feel like the word fulfillment is the theme for tonight. Is that you are Understanding through your experiences right now what is truly important, what you want to have more of, and what you don't want to take up any more time or space or energy in your life, and what you have to offer, and whether that is your perspective, your insight, your authenticity, your light, all of that. And also who and what you want to share your authenticity with. You don't have to share that with everybody. You don't have to just be 100% you and giving of yourself to everyone who crosses your path, right? You can be discerning of where your energy goes and what exchanges feel really right and fulfilling to you. So I feel that when you allow yourself to kind of integrate and process what you have been letting go of, what you have been moving through and past, then that gives you a bit more of a reality check and perspective in what is really important and is what you choose to um, work with in this chapter season of your life. And then that truly is like working with quality over quantity. And then that is like the magical key for giving you the experience of having everything that you really could have ever wanted or desired. It is that ultimate sense of fulfillment. Um, the 10 of Pentacles is um, it can be in relationships, it can be in your job, it can be in your home life, it can be in your health. And it's, as we know, all of those things are kind of really connected. Even if you're like, one of those areas of your life, or not all of them, if you are kind of really stressing it or going, everything's good except for this, whatever it is, um, there may be something more so in the forefront than the other that you're really focusing on and kind of trying to fix or get better or grow through or whatever. But we know that all of those things are connected. Um, when we think of you as the really important, like most main player in your life, because you're living your life as through your eyes and your lens and your perspective. And we think of what you not only have to offer, but what you are choosing that you want to experience in this lifetime or in this chunk of time in your lifetime. That it's kind of hard, even if you're like, yeah, I love my job. Let's just say, as an example, I love my job and I'm very satisfied with the amount of money that I make with my job. But my let's just say, and I'm not married, but we'll just say, but my marriage sucks. Like, even though the job is good, if your personal life and one of the main relationships in your life sucks, that is going to affect your job, right? Because it's your mental state, it's like it's not like you just have these compartments or these boxes where like one thing does not affect the other, right? But then it's kind of like too, like if one thing's going good and then that kind of raises your vibration, then another thing is good and then another thing is good and it kind of exponentially gets good, right? So I feel like that's really what you're working towards. You're starting to realize how everything is connected, and that if you just really honor, kind of like your true, authentic, it sounds so cliche, but it's just like your true, authentic energy and vibration of like what you really, really came here to offer experience. It's your vibe, your very specific vibe. If you really, really step into that, it's called like stepping into your power, right? If you really step into that, then everything is going to fall into place. And it'll be an aha moment on top of an aha moment. And then you'll see how it's all connected. And then instead of feeling like you have to really mull over like making all of these choices or decisions or like what's the right thing to do or whatever, when you're really standing in your authenticity, then it's like the decisions become situations that just kind of solve themselves. Either the vibration reaches up to become into an alignment with you and your higher purpose, or it fades away because it doesn't resonate with your energy. So that is why it is always so important to do things that help keep your vibration high, that help you kind of transmute and clear lower vibrational energies. Yeah, feel them and acknowledge them, but then transmute them and let them go once you have experienced what you needed to experience from them. And as you raise your vibration and you raise your energy, you attract like energies around you in all aspects of your life. And that is like true alchemy. It is beautiful. So, thank you so much for joining me today. Feel energetically like I perked up a little bit. I was dragging ass when I got home, but it's all good. Takes me, I'm one of those people that really I probably need at least 30 minutes. Once I get home from work, I need to acclimate and just kind of shift gears and all of that. And I can suffer through like jumping from one hoop to the other to the other. I can do it, but I don't like it. I don't like how I feel. So it's like now that yeah, and it's like I've been home for almost an hour now. But of course I started my energy update like 45 minutes ago. So I'm finally I'm acclimated into my home environment now. So y'all were with me along with me on the journey. So thank you. So I hope that you have a fantastic week and weekend leading up to our full moon on Thursday, our summer solstice next week as well. I'm going to be camping for a couple days, which is really the first break that I've had in a while, and it's almost like I'm I'm justifying working every day and not having a day off because I know that I'll be in the mountains for a couple days. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. Hopefully get to see some synchronous fireflies, which I'm very, very much looking forward to. So I may pre-record next Wednesday's live, so it won't be live. I may pre-record something. I may also go live a little earlier in the day. I'm not really sure. I might have plans on Wednesday evening, so I just look for whatever. So I'll try to keep y'all updated. So anyway, thank you so much for joining me. I will talk to you very soon. And yeah, have a good night. Thank you. Bye bye.